Hi there, yeah, it's Nick Dutch, back on the camera again one more time. Now, I logged into YouTube, and I saw in my recommended for you section an old video from the user tooltime9901. And I had to listen to it, and I thought, it's interesting, but there's some things I disagree with there. Okay, now, I like the YouTube user tooltime9901. I think he's got a very good grasp of the right variety of attitudes to a lot of things. And I also appreciate his presentation style and his argumentation style. But once in a while I reach a point of not agreeing with him, which is of course my right. But I'm not disagreeing with him just because it's my right, but because I think that there is an error with certain aspects of his reasoning, or there's something about the way in which he's expressing something which I don't 100% agree with. So let's listen to his video, and I may stop after various different sections and discuss it afterwards, okay? And of course what I'll be giving you is my opinion based upon what I know, what I've experienced, and everything else. Here we go.
So I got a lot of comments on my most recent video about why I'm not an agnostic, with people basically saying, well, I don't see the point, you can't prove it either way, we don't know, I'm not certain, we can't prove it either way, I think atheists and theists are both equally dogmatic.
Okay, well, can we say that atheists and theists are equally dogmatic? Well, first and foremost, we can say that there are people who are rather dogmatic about various schools of thought within what could be roughly called atheism, such as those who follow Dawkins, those who follow Thunderfoot, and those who follow, I don't know, Carl Sagan, and all the rest of that. So there are definitely individuals who are taking a dogmatic stance to atheist thinking, and of course there are those who take a dogmatic stance to religion because they don't know any different, or they can't do any different. So,
And I'm not sure if I'm just not getting the point across, or if people are using these as bullshit cop-outs.
Well, I don't think you can say that they're bullshit cop-outs. They're actually quite reasonable arguments. And as far as agnosticism is concerned, the word agnostic essentially refers to some variety of lack of knowledge. So even a theist who believes in God might not necessarily have knowledge of God.
Or both, depending on who the person is. And let me try and explain this quickly and simply. Saying you believe something is not the same as saying that you know something.
Correct. That is a statement of facts. Belief and knowledge are two different things. And truth and fact are different things as well. Truth can be personal and subjective, but there's also different types of truth, something which is true in the universe and something which is personally true. So a person could believe in a God concept, for instance, which is personal to them and seems to have some benefits to them and would be the truth in terms of their truth, but would not necessarily be a fact. And of course you got to think about truth claims and why a truth claim is a truth claim and not necessarily a fact. And it can be a very complex subject.
If you claim to know something, then yes, things like proof and certainty do come into play. But
well, the word know means different things as well. From your point of view, you're taking it as in terms of physical science. I know that when I press the button on this, the flame's going to come up. Okay, I know that. I can demonstrate that. Fine, there is proof. You have seen the proof. Okay, that's one form. But are there any other forms of knowledge? Well, yeah, there's a personal, intimate experience with something. And that is a form of knowledge, but people don't use these terms properly, and that's why we have a lot of misunderstandings.
Because when you claim to know something, you are claiming that something is true with certainty about the world.
Well, there are some people who do make truth claims, yes, but it's only true within certain limits. If you do a scientific investigation into something and you use statistical tests, you can prove that something is true within the limits of the experiment, or you can prove a hypothesis. Okay, but proving a hypothesis is not full proof. Proof is actually a stage in an academic discussion. It's not fact, or not necessarily fact.
Like 1 + 1 is 2. I know that 1 + 1 is 2. It's not a matter of belief. Belief, on the other hand, is...
Wait a second. 1 + 1 is 2. And 1 + 1 is 2 because we have created certain conventions, which means that 1 + 1 is 2. There is no sort of universal law which says that 1 + 1 is 2. We have a word which is 2, we have a word which is 1, and we invest belief in our mathematical system. So belief does have something to play here, but belief in this case means trust and confidence. And there are varying degrees and various levels of trust and confidence depending upon what you're talking about.
What you more or less tentatively hold to be true about the world. You wouldn't claim it with certainty, but it's simply what... I mean, there's no easy way that's not self-referencing to sort of explain these terms, but there is a distinction. Saying that you believe something is not as profound, and you're not asserting as much certainty when you say that you believe something. And
is that also true? I watched one of those TED Talks directors videos. Okay, I'm sure you've seen them here on YouTube. And there was one lady who used the phrase, "I believe it, it's true." So people do tend to use the phrases interchangeably. So I know what you're talking about, but it's not necessarily the way that most people would actually use the expression.
so, once again, to say that you're a theist is to say that you believe that God exists.
Again, is that 100% true? The word theism is often used, not always, but often used to describe not just belief in God, but acceptance of certain dogmatic principles, which would essentially be two different things. And how many different types of belief in God are there, and how many different types of God concept are there? It's not quite that clear-cut.
This is not the same as saying that you know that God exists.
That I'll grant you, yes. But some people can say that they have belief and they know. Or they believe because they know about various things. And in some cases that might even overlap with the God concept, depending upon the individual that you're talking to.
And that's why this whole, well, we can't prove it either way. Belief is not a matter of proof. Proof, again, comes into play when we're talking about knowledge. So,
I think I've covered that already.
Why is the atheist-theist debate relevant and viable, and not just two equally dogmatic camps arguing over...
They are dogmatic camps, and we have evidence of that in recent days here on YouTube.
What can't be proven? Well, even if you can't prove something, there is more or less evidence one way or the other about which is more rational of a position to hold.
Wait, right there. You say which is the most rational position to hold. Rationality, full stop, is not necessarily something which is objective. Rationality could in fact just refer to something which is useful, not necessarily something which is true. And also, do you need evidence for something to be rational for you? Now, we know, because we've got enough scientific knowledge, that the sky is not made of Stilton. We know that the moon is not made out of brie. But if we were living in a society that was dominated by cheese, okay, and we didn't know that there was an atmosphere, a stratosphere, an ionosphere, that there was like various different gases, that we were on a planet and all the rest of that, and we thought that the world was flat because the only place where it ever lived in would be within this 1 mile square bit of land, and there wasn't any travelers anywhere. It would be perfectly rational to develop other beliefs about what the moon is and about what the sky is. And in some societies, hypothetically, it could even be to say that the sky is a form of Stilton, or that the moon is made out of brie. So what is rational is partially dependent upon the quantity of information and the quality of information that we've actually got about the world, rather than anything else. So essentially, as far as the God concept is concerned, that's variable. That's variable depending upon the individual. That's variable depending upon the culture. That's variable depending upon the interpretation of what the God concept actually means. And then this idea of what is rational. I mean, for some people, they believe in God, but the God in question happens to be in their own higher consciousness or something else inside of them. And to say that that God doesn't exist would essentially mean that a large portion of their personality does not exist, which would, of course, be downright daft to be able to say that or to assume that on any level whatsoever. So there's issues with the idea of what is rationality. Alright, when I'm using the word rationality and I'm talking about occult things such as ghosts and angels and all the rest of that, I have to lay it on the line. I have to say that I can't, empirically prove that these things exist, because we don't have enough technology or techniques or philosophical structures to be able to do that at this present point in time. Okay? But strange things do still seem to happen. That much I can say. So in that respect, I'm calling that rational because I don't want people to be terrified of pieces of carved wood, or every single creak of my chair, or the sound of the wind outside, because some people would be afraid of these things because they've got too much in the way of belief which is based upon limited understanding, like these hypothetical people living in a society which is dominated by cheese, who think that the sky is made out of Stilton and the moon is made out of brie.
If you say believe in God, and you have abundant evidence to do so, or believe in any proposition, and you have abundant, sufficient evidence to do so, then you are more rational to believe it than not.
Right, okay, so if I said that my God or my higher power is my own consciousness or something within my consciousness, and I was submitted to a psychological or personality test like the California Personality Inventory or the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory on subsequent occasions throughout my life, let's say once every 2 months for 10 years, and then it could be proven that I actually have a mind and all the rest of that, then that would be proof that my God concept exists, which, it could be an imaginary concept, but it could essentially be affecting some of my actions in a positive way. Now, as far as rationality goes and the belief in a higher power, I have noticed from my own behavior and my own thought processes that when I am believing in a higher power, I act more ethically when dealing with people in a commercial way than when I don't. So it becomes rational for me personally to have a higher power concept, a God concept. So therefore it will be better for me and more rational for me to actually believe in God. Alright, and I have my own personal life experience which has demonstrated to me that it is actually rational for me to do this. So I'm erring much more on what he calls the theistic side of things, but which I define as essentially deism.
If, on the other hand, there is not sufficient evidence to believe something, then you are more rational not to believe it.
Okay, so which particular God concept does he not believe in, and in what way does he choose to not believe in? I mean, to say that God created the world in 6 days, I think we've got enough empirical evidence to be able to say that God did not create the world in 6 days, that there was the Big Bang, it happened so many millions and billions of years ago, or whatever, and that's the way the things seem to occur. Okay, that's the birth of the universe. We understand how the solar system was created, or we're building up more and more theoretical models about how the solar system was creative, how it came about. Okay? So, these are things that we know. And we know about evolution and all the rest of that. But the God concept is still something which human beings can find useful. It's not a question of prove that Jesus Christ existed or prove that the world was created in 6 days. I mean, we've got arguments against that. But what we can do is we can say that there's this thing which is useful for people. It is rational to apply it somehow in a manner which you feel most comfortable with. And here's some extra ways of, you could use to fortify the belief or make it work with you somehow in a way which is constructive. And go ahead, use it. Human beings, I mentioned this in a previous video, human beings process information through associations between different ideas, as well as thought, as well as understanding things. But our emotional reactions are often not driven by reason because they're emotional. Okay, there's a big difference. So if we choose another concept to add into the mix, we can then possibly, subtly, in a small way, create a change there.
And that is why there is the atheist-theist debate. It doesn't...
Well, the atheist-theist debate is predominantly driven by what is literally true. Okay, literal truth. So the atheist-theist debate seems to be much more a question of, is there a literal God or is there not a literal God? And as far as a literal God, of which description and of which type? Are you with me there? This debate is not personal. It doesn't allow the individual to build up rationally an understanding of what is best for them, and to allow them to grow. It's like saying, you got to do this or you got to do that. So you've got the extremist theists who are saying, do precisely as we tell you. And you've got the extremist atheists who are saying, no, they're talking a load of crap. So it is dogmatic on both camps, in reality.
Have anything to do with proving whether or not God exists. Some people may attempt to do exactly that, but at the end of the day, that's not necessary to say that, to believe something. Proving something isn't necessary to believe something. You must simply show that it is more rational to believe or not believe. It's about the preponderance of evidence and...
Wait a second. The preponderance of evidence. So firstly he says that it's not a question of proof, and now he's talking about evidence. Now from evidence you can create an argument and you can generate proof one way or the other. So he is talking about proof one way or another. Okay, so there's problems with his argument. He feels that there is hard and fast objective proof, essentially, that God does not exist. He doesn't say what he means by God, whether it is a personal higher power or a more metaphorical or spiritual concept or a psychological concept or what. He's just not doing that. But he is talking about evidence. He's saying, no, you don't have to prove it, but we've got to think about the evidence. This is a bad argument from Tool Time 9901. Sorry, the bloody thing's gone and froze up on me. Here we go.
Sufficient justification for believing something.
No, the sufficient justification for believing something is whether it does you good or not. In this particular example, not in other examples. If I was to believe I can walk on water and hey presto I can't, then that would be bloody stupid, wouldn't it?
Not about what you can prove or claim to know or any of that, and that's why...
Well, hang on a minute. You've just been talking about evidence. So you are talking about proof and claiming to know. You're going back on yourself, okay? That's wrong.
This whole, well, you can't prove it either way thing is just BS.
And that's the end of the video. Now, I'm not sure whether I've seen this video before when it first came out on June the 16th of the year 2010. or not. I can't remember. I'm quite a busy man. But can you see that? I mean, it's almost like this is like two different cultures who are fighting each other. Both of them are saying like, ours is the better culture, ours is the one that's more right. And they're not settling down and saying, well, let's have a look at the benefits of what you're offering and the benefits of what we're offering, and how we can just, sort something out which could be good for people. They're not doing that. It's not present within that discourse. So, and once again, I am erring on the side of the more spiritual side of things, because that is more rational when we consider the complexity of the human being. We are emotional beings. We are, in many ways, irrational beings. And sometimes we need a bit of guidance or a bit of extra support. And that's why we need poetry, we need arts, we need contemplation, reflection, meditation, prayer, and all the rest of it. And there are some people who feel that they don't, and they're fine. That's up to them. But sometimes I personally get experiences which makes me feel that there's something else within the universe apart from these things that the atheists consider to be hard and fast factual reality. There's other dimensions to life, of which consciousness appears to be a part and seems to operate outside of the body and the brain. And that's just based upon personal experiences. I cannot be an atheist. And I won't be. And nothing can change that, and no one can change that. And the atheist argument, as I've shown here, is wrong. Let me rephrase that. This atheist argument is wrong. Thank you very much for watching and or listening. And I'll speak to you again soon. Great and glorious, soon to be famous one day, Nick Dutch, signing out for now. God bless.